Hey everyone, KR0 here, and we have to talk about that Doctor Who Dot and Bubble episode. I watched it with my friend Saturday, and that episode had us constantly talking about it late into the night and into the next day. First, let's start off with a brief summary, spoiler free summary of the episode. So, a young woman named Lindy Pepperbean lives in a futuristic society that is fully social media integrated. They are linked. They are all linked to video chatting in the world through an AI slash video bubble. Um, Once the Doctor and Ruby hack into her feed, she starts to notice her easy, pampered life may not be as safe as she once thought. Now that was a summary I came up with myself, but it pretty much generally describes the entire episode. Um, Now you may be forgiven to thinking that this is just another Black Mirror esque commentary on social media episode, but there's more to this episode if you look closely. See, here's where I'm going to spoil things. So if you haven't watched the episode and don't want to be spoiled, here's your spoiler warning. Stop the video here and come back once you've seen the episode. Um, or if you just don't want to be spoiled, if you don't mind being spoiled, then go ahead. Feel free to watch the entire video. It's on Disney Plus here in the States, so it's somewhat easy access if you have it. Um, and that's for everybody watching in the States, of course. Um, but let's get on to the spoilers. All right. So basically, the Doctor and Ruby can't get into the city called Fine Time, where this social media society lives due to a shield keeping them protected from the world they are on. However, the city is slowly being overtaken by these slug-like creatures that are eating the populace. They get a hold of Lucy and try and help her and her friends escape the city, but have difficulties with her trusting them. Eventually, she's saved by her influencer crush, Ricky September, the guy I thought was going to be a bigger threat, but I changed that idea as we go through the episode, and you'll see why. Now, Ricky has heavy doctor vibes. Like he comes at just the right moment. He's smart and he runs with her, and just his presence makes her trust him immediately. Something we've seen happen with many previous doctors when saving people. Heck, um, Shooty with Ruby. Well, the 15th Doctor was Ruby, just in um, the Christmas special, the church on Ruby Road. Now, eventually, they get to a place where she can charge her dot since they ran out of power just before Ricky showed up while she was on a call with her friends and the Doctor and Ruby, um, and so that he can contact the homeworld and hopefully get them out of the situation they're in, where all their parents are located, where all the parents of this particular society are located, the homeworld. By the way, the population of Fine Time are all rich teens and young adults between the ages of 17 to 27, um, who were sent there by their parents so they could work for like 2 hours and, you know, party for the rest of the time and sleep and all that jazz. Um, they're basically nepo babies. Let's just say it like that. Anyways, Ricky discovers the homeworld has already been taken over and pretty much decimated by these slug creatures, but he lies to Lindy to protect her hope for survival. Eventually they make it to the door that the Doctor had told Lindy earlier about that could lead them to safety. Um, to access the tunnels and all that stuff. And the Doctor and Ruby finally get back in touch with Lindy, and they realize one how smart and attractive Ricky is, by the way. Like they have a little it was kind of cute how they're like they flip their like their view their point of view over to where Ricky is and they're like, "Ooh, he is cute." Like goodness. And then the doctor's trying to explain uh uh the doctor's trying to explain to him why how to like put in the passcodes, and Ricky's actually smart and he already knows exactly how to put in those particular type of codes. And the doctor's like, "Ooh, you are really attractive," and like Ruby's just like, "Okay, calm down, buddy." um, but sorry, I had to do that. But the second thing they realize is that everyone is being eaten in alphabetical order. You see, at one point, Ricky and Lindy both realize that only some people are getting eaten, while the slugs are like basically avoiding other people. But as we discovered, they're eating people in alphabetical order, and Lindy is the next one on the list. Like they literally tried to call somebody who was just before Lindy, and she gets eaten as they're trying to like discuss with her what's going on. Um, and Ricky tries to protect her. He gets her to like put in the rest of the codes while he pretty much stops the dot from killing her. You see, the dots are the creators of the slug creatures that are eating these people, and they have gained sentience and they want to destroy their owners. Basically, they want them dead. They hate them a lot. Uh, um, or Ricky tries to protect her just as she's able to like put in the last passcode, and she's trying to escape. The dog gets the upper hand on Ricky and is about to go to kill her when she basically doxes Ricky. You see, Ricky September's real name is Richard Coombs, meaning his surname starts with a C, which is how the alphabetical order is going when it comes to the dots killing off these people. So she doxes him, and the dot kills him brutally. By the way, like we see it on on camera, just right through him. Like we see it as it's going towards his ear, and then we get a shot of the back of him just going and drop him down. But she gets to safety, and at this point, I was officially done with this girl. I was like, oh, I hope the doctor and Ruby actually know what's going on, what's what. So lo and behold, this is the craziest part of the episode is about to get here. This is the reason why I want to talk about this episode in the first place. You see, um, she makes it to the escape route where other survivors and the doctor and Ruby are. And at this point, me and my friend thought they knew she let Ricky die. And again, this is where the big twist comes in. The Doctor and Ruby offer to transport the survivors to another world in order to ensure their safety. And we learn, well, they basically tell him to bugger off, basically. They're like, yeah, with you, you want us to go with you? I'm sorry, sir, but like, you know, screen to screen, that's acceptable, but you know, in person, well, that's just not gonna happen. Basically, this group, this society is racist. Like, it doesn't seem like it at first, and I saw a whole bunch of different YouTuber reactions, but when you add in the fact, when you realize what's going on, yeah, you realize they're racist, basically. Uh, the doctor continues to plead with them, but it falls on deaf ears, and he just loses it. I mean, in a scene that was just heartbreaking. Like you can even see Ruby catching on to the whole situation and just trying to be there for him, but also, she's kind of disgusted by their reaction to him. And the episode ends with Doctor looking back at them as they get on a boat and travel off into the wilds of the world that they live on, because they were on in that bubble city, that protected city, and on that world. And he just defeatedly walks back into the TARDIS. It was heart wrenching. It was heart wrenching. So this episode was crazy. At first, like I said in the beginning, it seems like another somewhat boring take on social media commentary. But once you discover the twist and rewatch the episode, you find so many moments that were in your face about the racism. Like the first interaction between Lindy and the doctor. I mean, like the second he pops up on the screen, and he's trying to explain that she's in danger, she just like, yeah, tosses him to the side. Um, and then throughout the episode, when he finally pops up with Ruby, she's just being increasingly rude to him. But you don't notice at the beginning, throughout the episode on your first watch through, because, well, you're you're just thinking that she's annoyed by these intruders on her friend, coming into her friend bubble group, such because she can decide who pops up on the screen the most. Uh, she just has a general disgust towards him throughout the episode. It's uh anyways. Um and also, if you're watching for a second time, pay very close attention to when the doctor addresses her remaining friends. Like at first I'm sitting there thinking that they're just still in horror of what they just witnessed with Gossip Paul getting eaten. But then, when you look at it more carefully, you realize they're kind of like wondering, what is this person doing on our screen right now? Like, Lindy, why do you have this person randomly popping up on our screen? Type situation. Ugh. But there's just so many hints throughout the episode towards that twist, uh, towards that ending twist. And I have to give all the cast of this episode, like even especially Callie Cook, who was the main person throughout this episode, a whole bunch of credit for portraying these characters with the ability to hide the underlying hatred towards the doctor, towards the black person, with hide it under the guise of the fear of the situation. Like, again, if you're watching it for the first time, you don't realize that they're actually you don't realize that there are certain things that are going on. So it's crazy. And I also have to give it up to Shooty and Millie's performance at the end. You could feel their emotions when they realized how racist these people are towards the doctor. And given that this is supposedly their first scene together, one of their first filmed scenes together, they really give off that chemistry, of being together for like a good few adventures and all that stuff. At least that's what the rumor. That's what I've been hearing a lot on the commentary for this episode, because I have been watching a whole bunch of different YouTuber reactions, but there was no lapse. Okay, it was like they've been cool for a good long period of time, and yeah, they probably did do some chemistry tests, but still, like the way they portrayed the emotions, Shooty portraying the emotions of the doctor being like realizing this whole situation about them not wanting to trust him, being racist and all that stuff. It was just, oh my god, it hits hard. And if you pay attention to Ruby, she's also kind of just like defeated at the same time. I love their emotions that they portrayed with this. Now that being said, uh, let me go ahead and address why this episode is such a big deal. You see, from what I've heard, not shooting, uh, Russell T Davis actually um actually wrote this episode years ago. He was actually going to give it to Stephen Moffat, but they both realized they could not make this episode initially. You see, think about all the times that the Doctors had black companions. We had Mickey. Yes, I count him slightly. We had Martha and we had Bill. And at least with Martha and Bill, there has been some racial type episodes with them, each taking place in a past time period. And the biggest one of note is when that keeps coming to my head is when the 12th Doctor decks a guy who's about to say some offensive words towards Bill. Uh, for the first time, we now have a Doctor um who does all of their we now have a Doctor, who has been a man and sometimes a woman, who does all they can to save anyone, regardless of their status or skin. Um, they're in a position where someone refuses his help all because of the color of his skin. Something that doesn't happen often. I mean, yeah, we got a little sexism with 13 in a few episodes, but that was downright. This was a downright refusal from not only one person, but a whole group of survivors that he did so much to get them out of immediate danger. Now, if you were to make an episode, if Stephen Moffat or Russell T Davis in his initial run of Doctor Who had made this episode, you would have had a white doctor and you would have had a whole group of people who are either you would have either had Daleks, you would have either had a group of people who were my skin color, or you would have had like Asian people or whatever, and it wouldn't have come across. Uh, the message wouldn't have come across that much. That twist wouldn't have really made an impact because of the fact that, well, come on, everybody's going to be wanting to save and all that stuff, and nobody would be talking about it as much because of the status quo at the time. But here, with a reversal, the Doctor is black for the first time. I mean, not necessarily for the first time. We also had the fugitive Doctor that the 13th Doctor found out about that, led to us realizing that the Doctor has had many more lives before the current set of 15 that we have, or I say 15, but technically 16, 17, if you count the War Doctor and you count the Meta Crisis Doctor. But still, you have a situation where the Doctor is black, and this is one of those typical Doctor episodes of them trying to save people and having to be away from the action, and yet I'm like a lot of people. Some people tried to say that it would have definitely worked with Amy, and with Amy being the companion with the 11th Doctor. But at the same time, look at the situation. We have a black Doctor and a white companion. It works so much better with Ruby and the 15th Doctor because of the dynamic that they have, namely the racial dynamic they have. Oh goodness! But I mean, like me and my friend, me and my friend who watched the episode with me are still thinking of theories and all the different instances of classism and racism hinted throughout the episode. Like, still 2 or 3 days after this, like, I'm recording this on the 3rd of June, so. But, for instance, my friend came up with an amazing theory as to why the Dots went rogue trying to kill the populace. Her theory is that when the Dots gained sentience, they realized that this society might not accept them as equals and would eradicate the sentient Dots or reprogram them. Meaning the Dots turning on their creators was a form of self-preservation, which is cool. It makes me wonder how deep the society's purism go. Maybe this society is tied to Krasko from the Rosa episode during the 13th Doctor's tenure. Who knows, but it can make you think. And I still feel like we're going to get more on the Dots and the Slugs in a later episode because, given how the episode ended, there's so much more to the story than you think. Um, all I know is that it made me think of so many things, this episode. And to me, that's my kind of Doctor Who episode. That's what makes for a great Doctor Who episode when you're still thinking about it a few days after the episode. Like, even before the next episode comes up, you're still thinking about it. And it seems to also have a lot of other fellow Doctor Who YouTuber fans having similar thoughts on the merits of this episode. I've been watching a whole bunch of different YouTube reactions, like I said, and it was interesting to watch everyone's take on the twist. Like I literally watched their reaction, the entire video, and once they got to the part where the the twist comes in, you could see, like, with a few of them, you could see them immediately catch on to what just happened, and it was crazy. So, uh, like, it was crazy. And it went over my friend's head. Like, when we were initially watching, it went over my friend's head until I showed her the evidence, and she eventually had the realization. She's like, "Oh, yeah, I see it now. I see it now." Anyways, shout out to Just Show Shayla, Real Rejects, and Sleepy Waffles for their reactions that I watched just before making this video. Definitely give them a watch if you haven't. And of course, Sean Ferrick and Who Culture for their ups and downs of this episode. Happy birthday, Ellie. We missed you. Anyways, that's it for me. Sorry if I went on for a bit, but that's the breaks. Anyways, if you made it to the end, feel free to like and subscribe. I'll try and do more Doctor Who reviews when I can. Also, feel free to check out my other videos and the soon to be coming Digimon Adventure 2020 reboot and Kamen Rider videos I'm working on. Until next time, have a great day, have a great week, great month, and a great year, and I'll see you next time. Peace.